Good morning.
Good morning, Tawana. With one end.
That's right, Tawana with one end. Thank you. She's the only one in a long time who's actually spelled my name correctly. T-A-W-A-N, one N, okay? I am very happy to be here this morning, and I am here as Tawana Smith Maddox, not Tawana Smith of the school board, okay? Let me get that disclaimer. And I'm definitely here, and I wouldn't really do this for too many people, and that is the honest God truth. I met Carol, we have been friends, but she was my dean at Athens Technical College, and I grew to love her, one, for her integrity, one, for her boldness. I went through a lot of things at Athens Tech, and to have someone, you know, these days we talk so much about the white, the black, with someone who used her whiteness to say, this is not right, many a times would speak up and also pull me to the side and say, before you go in the house, let's talk, let's pull back, let's calm down, let's kind of handle it like this, you know. But to also be true and honest, like, well, no, you may not want to say it, not just to you know, get along, but to really want to build bridges, but they also wanted things to be fair and equitable. And she did that for myself. She also did it for students who may not have had a voice for them. Where she would have to go to the academic affairs office to speak on behalf of students. So she's one that's very respected. I will always respect her. Also for my literacy program, Destin, for coming in, you know, volunteering, getting there on the lower end with my babies, and you know, and showing them that there are better ways of life. Yeah, we talk about we need to learn, we need more reading, and it's true. Our kids, we need a lot more in Athens when it comes to literacy and building that and those academic skills. But she also taught them through bikes, you know, through talking about bikes in her travels. She showed them that there's a whole nother life out there. And I think that is just as important these days, because I didn't know anything about no green, solarized, and what. What are you talking about? But it's very important to have someone to support us that we know who is truly for the people. And also who has the magnitude of that brilliant PhD mind of hers, but who can also bring it down to a level that a kindergartner can understand it. And that's something that we sometimes are missing. And as we talk about equity and things like that, that's a big part of the equity, is making sure that you bring people along with you. And that's one reason why I truly support Carol Myers 150%. Because she has demonstrated. She's demonstrated in the classroom. She's demonstrated in her leadership. She's demonstrated in riding these bikes from one end of the country to out of the country. Okay? And so I just said that we need to continue to support her. We need to make sure that people learn more about Dr. Myers. And let's go ahead and just take this all the way and get another great commissioner on our mayor commissioner team.
I'm going to go to my neighbor here. We're going to come back to Athens Tech at the end. Thank you, Tawana.
I'll take her.
The case. Okay.
That's you should have gone last. But yeah, so I'm just going to start by saying, you know, Carol's a great listener. She's very intelligent. She's a very reasonable person. But most importantly, I think she's a fighter. I mean, she will fight for the east side and for Athens in general, because we're east siders, but we all love Athens. We go downtown, we go to Boulevard, we go all over this town. So she's going to fight for the whole town, and she's going to fight for the east side and make our community better. And if anybody ever has any issues or anything that's of concern, you can call Carol and talk to her, and she will listen and she'll fight for you. I've known her for probably, how old are you, Noah?
Noah, how old are you?
I am 21.
I've known Carol for 21 years. Well, almost 22 now. So, but anyway, we moved into University Heights, and she's been a great neighbor and a friend. When we go knocking on her door, selling coupon books for Whit Davis Elementary, she's always there to buy them. We know where to go. We know what doors not to knock on, but we know which doors to knock on. Very reliable. And I don't know if we were like the first people in a while to have like really young kids in our neighborhood, because we kind of had them in rapid succession. I had 3 boys, and I had a triple stroller, had like a newborn, an 18-month-old, and a 2.5-year-old. And we would push up the big hill to get to her house because we knew that there would be candy there at Halloween. So we've actually cross-country skied together too, way up north on College Station Road here. One day when we had that really great snow, and we kind of met, like, "What are you doing out here?" You know, it's like, "Wow, this is pretty cool. You know, we should be able to do that more often." But I don't think that's going to happen. We're both teachers. I'm a retired teacher. I taught at Cedar. I taught at a middle school in Madison County. 28 years in the classroom, and I just retired this past March. My wife's a career teacher. She just recently retired. I cycle also, and it's kind of neat to be leaving the neighborhood and seeing Carol like climbing into the neighborhood, or I'll be climbing into the neighborhood and Carol will be going out. I'll pass her out on Morton Road. I'll see her on the Greenway. So she's in the community, and that's a great level. I don't know how many of y'all are cyclists, but it's a great level to see the community. We're both, I think, community activists. I've been speaking at the Mayor and Commission meeting like every first Tuesday of the month for years. And a very familiar face down there at City Hall is Carol. And I see her, we're often, she'll speak on our issue, sometimes, on a moment's notice. And but she'll speak for 100% green or Greenway or 100% renewable. And she's a very eloquent spokesperson. The commissioners know her. She knows them. I think she'll be a day one ready person to start working for us going down there. So I just basically urge y'all to support Carol. I mean, you obviously are, but just in any way that you know how. I think that the single biggest thing we can do is talk to our neighbors, talk to our community friends when you go out, and just spread the word. I think we just need that kind of exponential growth when everybody just kind of reaches out and talks to 4 or 5 other people or more. And, so anyway, great friend, super person.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Now I'm having my bike advocate come out here, Scott.
I wasn't your bike advocate?
No, you're not my neighbor advocate.
Okay.
You're my neighbor testimony.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Scott Long. I've been working with Bike Athens for 5 years. For those of you who don't know, Bike Athens works to build equity in transportation. We believe affordable, accessible transportation is a critical component of social and economic mobility. We envision a comprehensive transportation network for all Athenians to use with confidence and ease. Our mission is to promote cycling, walking, and transit as solutions for transportation needs in Athens through education, advocacy, and community. Through my work with Bike Athens is where I met Carol. And if you understand the Bike Athens mission, it makes a lot of sense that Carol will be involved. As a longtime cyclist, Carol regularly rode to her job at Athens Tech. She rides for fun with the Nitty Gritty bike band. After she retired, she rode across the country. Not only has she worked with us to help get bikes into the hands of Athenians who need them most to get around, she's been a voice for people on bikes down at City Hall. When Athens-Clarke County was getting a bike pedestrian master plan developed, Carol was there in the Athens in Motion Citizens Commission to make sure everyone had a voice in the plan. Now that the plan's complete, she now serves as chair of the Athens in Motion Citizens Commission, not only to make sure it gets done, but to make sure that she's an advocate for equity in that plan to make sure sidewalks and bike lanes get to less served and low-income neighborhoods. She understands that the people and places that need the most should get the most. Carol wanted to make sure that those who make the big decisions about our streets understand what it is like to commute in different parts of Athens. So she organized an electric bike tour for the mayor and commission and staff. She's a member of Complete Streets Athens and a board member of Bike Athens. I've seen up close her hard work and dedication, and I think she'll be a strong voice for the east side of Athens. As a commissioner, she will work to make sure everyone has access to safer and more connected Athens.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Songster. I'm on the steering committee for 100% Athens Renewable Energy Initiative. And for those of you who are not familiar, we are a group that advocates and pushes for a just and equitable transition for Athens-Clarke County to 100% clean and renewable energy. I haven't actually known Carol all that long. It's been about 1.5 years since our group had a forum at the library laying out what our future plans were for the community, and she came up afterward and said, this is what I want to do. I want to be a part of this. And since y'all are working on SPLOST, I've been involved in SPLOST, and I think I could help you with this. And so we thought that that was a good addition to our team and brought Carol on, and I think it was very, very worthwhile because she was instrumental in really 2 of the things that we accomplished just within the last year. The first is getting $15.8 million on the SPLOST list for funding for clean and renewable energy for Athens-Clarke County facilities. That was the first thing. The second thing was a resolution that was passed unanimously by the Mayor and Commission for outlining the just and equitable transition. And so we've heard, Tawana and Scott talk about equity and how what they see in Carol, is tied into equity, and it's the same thing for our group. That is the primary focus for our effort, and Carol has been involved and pushing for that from the beginning. I think that her coming up and volunteering for this kind of shows her initiative and her passion, and I think that that Sam is right. She's an activist, but I think the second half of it is maybe the more important thing, is that she can take that passion and she can create a pathway and look at strategies to bring us from being vocal and activists and passionate about a subject to making real change in our community. So that's what I think is going to set her apart in the other candidates that are out there, and will be an integral part of our commission. In 2018, we had a big shift in Athens-Clarke County. There was a progressive wave that changed how our commission works, and I think that was instrumental for our success in what we have been doing at 100% Athens. But I also think that if we were to see Carol as commissioner replacing Andy Herod, it will be just as consequential for the progressive causes in Athens. And so I can't really say how important I believe it is that she win this seat. So.
Athens Tech with my friend Barbara Barnett.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good morning.
I'm going to speak on the character of this young lady. I'm going to take you back 30 years ago. I was a young mother with two daughters, and I wanted to go to school to get my LT license. So I enrolled in Athens Tech, and my first teacher was Carol. I remember coming in the classroom, I'm like, I'm a mother, she was this young lady that was teaching me, and so I am. Got to know this teacher, and I really, really got to know her heart more than anything else. Carol is an awesome person. I looked at her character. She was a great teacher in school, so committed to her students. And as the years went on, I followed her unbeknownst to her. I'm sitting back, I see the work that she's doing in the community and the smile that she carries on her face. And she always carries her heart with her. She is just a loving person, loving, caring person, and really committed to the education of the students in Athens-Clarke County. I remember taking my mother some years ago. She was going to vote, and my mother was in her 90s. And I went to Oglethorpe Elementary School, and who do I see at the school? Carol. Hadn't seen her in a while, just following her, in the communities or whatever. But Carol she's just a good person. I remember her taking my mother's picture. She said, "Let me get a picture of you and your mother." And my mother left and said, "Who was that lady?" And I told her how I had met Carol. Carol was my school teacher and everything. So over the years, I just followed Carol. Because Carol Hart is into what she does. And when she told me that she wanted to run for commission, I was like, go for it, you got my vote. No doubt in my mind. Because we need people like Carol. We need people whose heart is in their work. I'm at the West Broad Farmer Street Market, who rides up on their bike. Carol is all in the community. She steps outside. You see some people that run for office and they get these positions, they forget to take off their suits and just be humans, and just mingle with the people. Carol is all in the community. This is who we need to be the commissioner. Carol, you have my support, 125, 50%. I don't care who she's running against. I don't even have to do a second thought. I don't even have to look at statistics, because I know where my heart and my vote is going. I see a person, I judge Carol's heart, and Carol Hart is just absolutely beautiful. We need you.
Barbara does a lot in the community too. I don't know if you've heard of the Rites of Passage program. She's been behind that program for years.
About 20 years.
20 years? What's your 1 minute on the Rites of Passage?
Rites of Passage is an empowerment program for at-risk youth living in Athens-Clarke County. They are living in low-income housing. And our goal is to guide these youth through their rites of passage so they can become responsible citizens in the community. These are kids that live in homes that maybe their income is about $5,000 a month. So what we want to do is broaden their horizon, get them out of those areas and expose them to more positive things in the community. And we've been in existence for over 20 years. We took this one quick thing. Before we started, we had to take it to the commissioners and let them know what we wanted to do. We want a program. We noticed that a lot of African American kids were dropping out of school, becoming pregnant, ending up on drugs. So we said we got to do something to save our kids. We did the proposal. Virginia Walker was on that committee, Tim Johnson and some other people. We took it to the commissioner and they quickly rejected it. They said, "Don't you have a program? Don't you celebrate this kind of work in February?" We said, "No." We said, "No, we need more for our kids." So anyway, that's how it got started, and we have had so many kids to come to that program. Some are end up on the dean list at the university. They are doing great things. Some are coaching football or whatever. So that's where my heart is with the youth down in the bottom of the cocoon, trying to pull them out.
Thank you all for being here. It's really wonderful to have the support of you all and all the good campaign fun you were having before I stopped you to listen to us talking. I have a couple of people who are here who haven't heard my spiel at all, so I might be a little bit repetitive here for some of you, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about this. I think that Tawana and Scott and Sam and Michael and Barbara have all covered a lot of why I'm running. And they've also, I feel very humbled by their belief in me and my character and my hard work, which is a lot of what I'm bringing I would be bringing to the commission. It's really important for me that Barbara was here speaking. In a way, for me, she represents my students at Athens Tech that I had over the years. And I can talk about, and I may, but how I've been on SPLOST committees and got to know a lot about the government, and how I go to the commission meetings, and now I know the commissioners because I'm up there asking questions, making statements, sending them information. But I also know the community because of my time at Athens Tech. That gave me, I felt very fortunate. I know a lot of people who are connected to the university, come from other places like I do. And you can get kind of insular in that life of this sort of academic life or the in-town life. Not that I've ever lived in town really, but anyway, Athens Tech gave me this much truer understanding of Athens, and also actually of all of Northeast Georgia, though I'm not running for state senate yet, and really made me feel that I knew the community in a way that a lot of people in my circumstances aren't able to know the community, and that's something that's enriched my life a lot. I'm running because I have the energy, I have the time, and I have the skills. Sam mentioned that I'm retired, or he's retired, but I'm retired too. Thank you to the state of Georgia and the teachers' retirement system. I'm very fortunate for that. But I was able to retire pretty young. I feel like I'm the last person to be able to retire young with a state retirement. And so after 5 years, I'm just 61, and I have a lot of energy. I can only do so much bike riding. So I want to use some of that energy to serve the community. I come from a family of people who give back. Both of my parents were teachers. Both were involved in the teachers union. My mother organized all the after-school activities for the church. When she retired, she went to the jail and she taught literacy. She was a literacy volunteer for years. So I come from a people who were always giving back there, and so this gives me the opportunity to give back. I think that all the people who spoke sort of attested to my character, to my hard work. I know from the 2 times I was on a SPLOS selection committee in 2005 and 2011 that it requires a lot of homework. There are long reports that need to be read carefully. They need to be questioned. Someone needs to think about that. That's something I will bring to the commissioner. Michael and Mary can attest to my recent reading that we were doing. Just last week, the mayor and commissioner passed an agreement with the Classic Center that covers the land swaps and some of the preliminary agreements on the new gigantic arena that's being built, and the new hotel and senior development center down there. Well, that was a 50-page document. I went through that. I read the whole thing, and there was no mention of renewable energy in there. It said they're going to follow the Athens rules, but we wanted that right in there. Michael and I got up and spoke at the commission meeting. Guess what? They revised that. What's in there now? A commitment to 100% renewable, as well as to a living wage as well. So, I'm the person who's going to keep doing that as well. We have the North Athens development going on, which is really the redevelopment of the Bethel homes and all the area around the Linden House by the Council on Aging. I went to that last week. It's going to be a long process. Hopefully the residents are involved as much as possible. They seem like they are. But I was there also saying in my brainstorming, let's make this all renewable and as efficient as possible so that the people who live there have as low of energy bills as they can. Two of the parts of my platform are for, hello, I'm saying really fabulous things, so you probably won't listen. So 2 of the things that are on my campaign platform are my commitment to a walkable, bikeable, and busable Athens, as well as to the 100% renewable resolution. And I want to be behind the rail reminding people of that. Both of those initiatives have a really important equity part to them. So when we have a whole plan for 220 bike and sidewalk projects. You can't all do that at once. That would be, can't even imagine how much that would be. So you have to put them in order. A big part of that prioritization was looking at neighborhoods where people need sidewalks to get to buses. They use bike lanes because they don't have cars, where there are a lot of kids living in poverty or older people living in poverty. And I want to be there behind the rail making sure that the commission and the city sticks to that promise to do things in an equitable way, as well as with 100% resolution as well. And Michael talked about that. The 2 other parts of my platform have to do with the east side. And I I've been out walking. We're going to do some canvassing this afternoon. Anyone can join us. It's pretty fun. But I've been doing some walking out there, and people really, they really like my focus on helping the East Side thrive. And that's because I love having a place like this. I love Jittery Joe's. I love taking my bike up to Aldi's. We want to have this be as much of a community as possible. And for those people who walk or ride bikes, Gaines School to Barnett Shoals, it's pretty flat. And we know what that means if you're walking or you're riding your bike. There's a lot of opportunities here that people are really interested in seeing growing. There's also a new library coming to the East Side. There's money in SPLOST for that. I'm going to be there whether or not I win as a commissioner. I'm going to be there when they make a list of when they're going to build those projects. Because that library was the first thing on the list that the citizens chose. It should have been on the list in 2011. I will not get into that. You can come and talk to me about it. But it was the first thing, and it needs to be in the beginning of that SPLOST list, and not in 2030 at the end of it, because we've been waiting a long time for that. And I want to make sure the community's involved with that. I'd love to transform the Kmart into, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some power over the Krogers and have them think about what they're doing with that property that they've left behind. So I'm really committed to the East Side. Andy Herron, whose campaign I worked on almost 20 years ago, he has newsletters. I'm going to continue doing that. I'm also going to try to have quarterly town hall meetings. There's a wonderful meeting room that never gets used at the library. Not the library, well, at the library that'll be here, but also at the firehouse. I want to meet with the people as much as I can. I was telling Michael just before that as I'm knocking on doors, I mentioned the 100% renewable energy and the bike lanes and the sidewalks. These are people I don't talk to all the time, and they're all excited about this. There's a lot of people excited about these things, and it's very heartwarming there. The last part of my platform is that I'm going to really work for the whole community as well. There's a lot of people on the commission right now who are working for social justice issues, that are trying to address some of the inequities in this community that are historical, that are looking at the issues of poverty. I'm 100% with them. We actually have a wonderful commission now. We really have a wonderful commission. I filled out a candidate questionnaire for Athens for Everyone, and they said, "What do you think of the commission?" Well, I said, I think they're a really good commission. I said, I gave them a B+, but I'm a hard grader. So I don't think that, I don't think that we'd ever get an A, because it's imperfect. It's all part-time commissioners. Everyone is stretched, but there's a lot of people trying, and I want to be part of that. Criminal justice reform, I could go on about that as well. I had a big experience in 2005 when I walked through the jail. We were toured, the SPLOST committee toured the whole jail because we were considering putting the jail on the SPLOST then. We rejected it. There were about 350, 400 people then. Guess how many people there are now? About the same number. But we've built a jail that can fit. It's not outfitted for 1,000 people. It's only outfitted for about 750 now. We totally overbuilt our jail. Okay? And we need to be figuring out ways to keep people from getting into jail. We need to find ways to deal with poverty. Very hard, very complex, not easy. There aren't easy solutions, but I think there's a lot of people working for that. I think that kind of sums up everything. I really appreciate you all being here. Now, I have less than 90 days now, and some of you have heard reference to my bike ride across the country. That took me 83 days to get from north of Seattle to Portland, Maine, to north of Portland, Maine. That was 4,200 miles. I had to do that day after day, and although I love bicycle riding, when I was in Wisconsin and the thrill had gone off and it was raining, it was like, oh darn it, I gotta ride my bike again, But I don't give up, I persevere. And so between now and May 19th, I'm gonna be out there knocking on doors. And that's the most important thing, and that's where I need your help. So I'm gonna do a call for that. I'm gonna be knocking doors on Saturday and Sunday and Thursday afternoons. I invite any of you to join me, and I gotta tell you this, I've knocked on doors forever. for different people. It's really easy. People they're much more welcoming. They really talk a lot if you're the candidate, I've found. But it's not that hard to do. So I know a lot of people are scared of that, but it's really, if you want to help me, that's the best way you can help me there. I also have a postcard writing campaign. I have 1,000 postcards, and I sure don't want to have, more than 10 left at the end. What I'm trying to do is find people who have a personal connection to someone on the east side. I looked through the list, and I just scanned through over there, and some of you are doing that already. And I found the guy that I worked with at Athens Tech who was in the air conditioning program, lives on the east side. Little did I know. So I'm going to write him a card, and I'd like to get as many of those names checked off as possible. We're trying to reach about 3,000 people, maybe more, but that'll be good for us to get there, and I definitely need your help. Oh, if you live on the east side, a yard sign, and every one of you, I would sure love you to have my bumper sticker in your car. And my friend who I ride bikes with, who voted for the guy in Washington who lives in the White House right now, okay, believes in me enough, and he's a physician in town, that he has that bumper sticker taped in his window because he doesn't want to mess up his bumper. Okay, so you can tape that in there and gave me a big donation. A proof that, people on the other side can believe that, we can believe in each other across the political divide. Anyway, thank you so much. Vote for me, tell your friends. Oh, so let me tell you right now, we have more yard signs. I don't know, maybe you all have finished it. We have this postcard table. Who's going to join me canvassing today? Okay. If you're we're going to talk about canvassing over here as well.